Okay, we are on air. Looks like it should be popping up here pretty soon. And I'm very excited. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I am Bueller. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me okay. Look at that. I'm not wearing a hat. I do have hair. Go figure. The hairline is receding, as you guys can see. I like to tell people that my hairline is the same. It's just my head's getting bigger, and that's why there's not enough hair to cover everything, which is just fine. I do have my hat. If you guys want me to put it back on, or if Adidas calls me and tells me to put the hat back on, I will. But for today, we are doing no hat. And somebody actually asked me if I did a video without a hat. I've done, like, the very first coffee video I ever did, I wasn't wearing a hat, and I think that's the only one. So this is the second one, and hopefully it looks pretty good. And it's going to be a fun stream. I got a lot of great things to talk about. I'm very excited. I'm glad everybody's here, and really great stories to share. And we're going to be talking about Comic-Con. Let's go ahead and jump into the chat real quick because I've seen some people in here. I am Jay, Sam Stangle-Webb, of course. He's always there for me. Steven Spock, doing good things. There's Spock right there, everybody. That's the picture of Spock the dog. Of course, my daughter, Paige, she's amazing. She's going to be here in like a couple of weeks, and she'll be here for like a week and a half, so that's going to be a great time. But we got a lot of other people. Collecto6, hello. Kate Mayer 1, Cameron D, Comic Addiction, Johnny Boy, Derek Magnus, 2017 Mags, Ben Compton. Let me scroll up here because I don't want to miss the people that were here in the very beginning. Denzel, Luis, Chris, Sherrock, Just the Rican and his comics, Perry Comics, Hunter Thompson, yeah, Hunter Thompson, Comic Man Andy, the Comic Cats, they're in here. How's it going, Comic Cats? William, hello, just a ton of great people. So, as you guys can see on the title, this is part 2 of what is happening to Comic-Cons. And that's what we're going to discuss. The reason why we're going to discuss that is because I went to a Comic-Con this past weekend and had a totally different experience than I did at the Comic-Con I went to a couple months ago, which was Wizard World Comic-Con. I want to get this out, full disclosure. I was invited a guest to Wizard World Comic-Con to cover their event. I was also an invited guest to the Washington State Summer Con that was last weekend as a guest as well. I don't want there to be any type of bias. If you guys want to go look at my review that I gave of the Wizard World Comic-Con, you can definitely tell that my opinion was not jaded by the fact that I was invited to cover the event type thing. Now, that being said, like I said, I had a Comic-Con I went to this weekend or last weekend, and my experience was totally different. And let me just break down my experience, and then I will get into the story that you guys probably want to hear, and I got to tell you, it's one hell of a story. So this Comic-Con, first let me give you a little bit of backstory to the last one and why I had a problem with the Wizard World Comic-Con that was a couple months ago. Wizard World is a bigger Comic-Con company that travels over to the United States. They have a lot of celebrity guests, really low on the comic book guests, but yet it is a Comic-Con. So the Wizard World that we had here in Portland was very heavy, like I said, with celebrity guests and no comic creator guests for the most part. And the simple fact was there was hardly any comic books at the Comic-Con. Literally, there was one booth set up with comics. They were very overpriced. And then there was another booth that had trade paperbacks. And that was it. That was the con itself. And the headline comic creator, which is a great guy, is Randy Emberlin. He was the kind of the headline for them, for their comic book creators. I know Randy. He's very nice. I've talked to him many times. He lives here in Oregon. Actually lives just a few miles away from me. I know his wife. Very nice people. Very fun to get to see them and hang out with them. But that was the only guest. And he might not appeal to a lot of people as much as he does to me. So that Comic-Con, I left with a very bad taste in my mouth. They didn't have what I was looking for. I'm a comic book guy. I'm not a celebrity guy. I want to go there. I want to look at comic books. I want to find some good deals. I want to interact with the creators. I want to be with other like-minded people about comic books and hang out with them and talk with them. And that's not the experience that I got at the Wizard World Comic Con. And honestly, I probably will not go back to one unless drastic changes are made. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, I do not. I think that's the pattern that they've kind of set, and they're going to stick to it. And whether that keeps working for them, I really don't know. Okay, so that's that one. So now I want to point out to the one I went to this last weekend, which is Washington State SummerCon, which is in Puyallup, Washington. Like I said before, I was an invited guest to go there. I want to get that out ahead of time. But let me just give you a rundown of what this Comic-Con was offering and why I was so excited to go to this Comic-Con. So I wrote down a list of their comic book guests, and I will just tell you the names. This is who they had slated, and this is in Puyallup, Washington. I know a lot of you guys have never heard of that. It's a very small city, and surprisingly, the guests that they have that showed up to this Comic-Con, because there was a lot other bigger cons going on that they could have went to, but they came to this one, and it was awesome. So they had Jim Lee, Jim Steranko, Roy Thomas, Chris Claremont, Jim Shooter, Andy Kubert, Peter Tomasi, Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palomito, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, Mark Bagley, Sean Murphy, Jay Lee, Scott Williams, Alex Sinclair, Ron Wilson, Ken Lashley, Randy Emberlin, once again, Arthur Sudan, and Mike Henderson, and a few other local artists. That is their comic book lineup that they had, curators, artists, and it was one of the best I've ever seen. And every one of these gentlemen and ladies that I mentioned there were just fantastic. They were more than happy to talk with everyone. They spent time with the people that were there. There was enough space in the Comic-Con to where you weren't just crowded into areas. They spaced it out very well, and the layout of the Comic-Con itself played a big part to how successful it was. There was a few cancellations, and that would probably be the negative things I talk about. I think cancellations are pretty normal when it comes to Comic-Cons. I always see a list of cancellations, but they did miss out on a couple big names. David Finch and Marv Wolfman both were unable to attend. I believe Marv Wolfman was injured a couple weeks ago, and that's why he had to cancel. I don't know the scenario for David Finch, but both of those two gentlemen would have been great to have to the con, but maybe they can come next year. Now, they had those big creators, and then they also had a nice celebrity lineup. Unfortunately, the celebrity lineup was hampered with a lot of cancellations, like I said. But I'll give you a rundown of some of the celebrities that were there. Billy D. Williams, Lando himself, that's pretty cool. Carl Weathers, Jason Mewes from Jay and Silent Bob. All the comic book men were there. They had actors from the S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. They had actors from Game of Thrones. They had actors from World War Z. So a nice lineup. But like I said, they were missing some of their big key celebrity guests that did cancel, and I'll tell you who those were. Mike Coulter, which was the actor who played Luke Cage in the Netflix series. He was unable to go. Pom Clementia, she's the actress from Guardians of the Galaxy. She played the character with the little antennas. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. But she wasn't able to go. George Wendt, he was the actor from Cheers, Norm. He canceled. And probably the big one that's unfortunate that was he canceled was John Barenthal. He's the actor who obviously played the Punisher in the Netflix series. And then, of course, he was in The Walking Dead. So they did miss out on a few key actors that canceled. I don't think there's anything they can do to fix that. You know, actor schedules comes up and they have to do it. But it would have been nice to have those people there. And hopefully they can make it up next year. So I pointed out the fact that they had a solid lineup of comic creators. They had a solid lineup of celebrity guests. Unfortunately, few were missing. Now, did they have comic books? Yes, they had thousands and thousands of comics. There was vendors left and right. Everywhere I looked, there was vendors for comics. At least 30 to 40 different vendors for comic books. They had vendors for toys. They had vendors for video games. I mean, you name it. They had everything you could want at a Comic-Con. They were a little light on cosplay, I noticed, but that's more of an audience participation. There was a few pretty good cosplays, but not as much as I've seen at, say, like Wizard World, they had a lot in comparison, but that's really not my thing. But as far as comic books, tons of stuff to choose from, tons of great deals. The dealers that were there were very happy. They were happy because there was such a good turnout. They were happy because all the creators were there. There was grading services there to get your books graded as well. And like I said, the layout itself was very convenient. You could move around this con, no problem. You weren't crammed in there. You weren't bumping into people. And it was packed. I mean, there was a lot of people. It wasn't like it wasn't crowded. It was crowded, but the aisles were very wide. And it gave you a lot of area to move around. They had rooms for their panels. Those were off in a different section, easy to locate. A little confusing at first, but once you found it, you realized where you were. But they were separate rooms, easy to find, easy to get in and out of. And the nice thing is this Comic-Con was at a state fairground. So the main building where all the con was being held, that's where all the dealers and vendors and the artists and all them were. And then you have outside surrounding the building, there were like places to go get ice cream and little vendors outside, and the Air National Guard was there, and they had like helicopters and tanks and stuff that kids could look at and play, and they had separate tents with like cars like the Kit Car, Knight Rider, the Road Warrior cars, stuff like that. And it's all outside, and it was a beautiful couple of days. And so it was no problem just walking outside, enjoying everything out there, and just walking back into the little convention center and getting right back into the con. It's fun. I'm glad to see Al, Red Sox fan, in here. He watched my last one when I kind of went off on Wizard World, and now I get to share a different opinion on a different con. Let me take a sip of some coffee there. I'm rambling a little bit. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. We have 55 people watching right now. Thank you so much. Let me jump into the chat, and then I will get to the story, and I'm very excited to share the story. But we got Biggie Shack is in here. How's it going? He knows the story. Steve Whiting, he's in here as well. He's heard a little bit of it. Let's see. I want to scroll up here. If I miss you guys, my apology. You got the Boatwright family. How's it going? Let's see. 27. I think I said hello to you. I might not. Sorry. Johnny Boy, hello. RJ Taylor. Just a bunch of people. And like I said, Al, Red Sox fan. JLS Comics, hello. Theory 23, hello. And Bake the Snake, hello. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the story. And I'm very excited to share this because some of you guys know, because I shared it on my Instagram, and I shared a few pictures on my community tab on my YouTube channel, and I kind of announced to some people that this last weekend I did my official very first comic book panel hosting job, and I did 2 of them, and I want to share with you guys how that came to be, because it's a pretty cool story. So basically, this Comic-Con, the Washington State Summer Con, I've been watching it, and I've been watching the lineup of creators kind of line up. And through that time, I've been sending emails to the showrunner. His name is Steve. And I said, hey, I would like to cover your event, you know. And we kind of played tag a little bit. He said he'd let me know. And he didn't really get back to me too much. Very busy guy. I understand. He got a lot going on. Trust me. And finally, about 2 weeks before the con was to happen, we got in contact with each other. And actually, Sam was here when I called him on the phone. And so I got to talk to this gentleman for about 2 hours. And we laid out some plans. He wanted me to come and kind of cover the event, you know, and he checked out the channel. He liked what he saw. He appreciated that I have an audience and stuff that watches my videos and stuff. So he was very excited for me to kind of spread the word about his Comic-Con. And so he had some plans, and his initial plan was he wanted to set up like a stage out there by the crowd, and I would have like creators come up every now and then, and I could interview the creators for a few minutes, and that would be it. And that sounded good. I was up for anything. I was just excited to be a part of it. And then he said he'd let me know. And this is about 2 weeks before the actual con. Well, he never called me back. And I didn't hear from him. And I was like I said, he's a busy guy, and that's okay, you know. And I was like, well, he might have forgot about it, and I'm not going to stress. And if I'm not invited to go there, that's fine. And I kind of accepted it for what it was. And then on Thursday night, I get a response from him the Thursday before the con, and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I did get really busy. I wasn't able to take care of some of the stuff we talked about, but I'd really like you to come up here, and I'd like you to cover the event and shoot whatever you want to do." I was like, "Great, I'll be up there first thing Saturday morning." So I have 2 tickets waiting for me. What is this? John's Comments for Kids in here. Thinking people are going to ask us to join his church. I don't go to church. So that night, after I got done talking to Steve, I had a pass, and I called Tom because Tom had mentioned about going to the event. I called Tom. I said, "Tom, there is a pass. I can get it for you if you're still planning on coming. You don't have to pay. It's there. I'll pick it up, and you just let me know when you get in there, and I'll give it to you." So Tom's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." He double checked with some things because actually he had some other plans. He wasn't going to go. Someone else came up. I think it was his sister's graduation or something like that. So he actually wasn't going to go. And so it was just going to be me. And he called me back a couple hours later and said, "I'm good to go." So I'm like, "Great. It sounds awesome. I'll see you there." So Saturday morning rolls around. I wake up early in the morning, and because it's about 2.5, 3 hours away that I have to drive. And so I drove up there. I got up there about 9:30. It opens at 10. I go to the will call. I collect my badges and stuff like that. And I go in and I start walking around and noticing how everything's laid out. Like I said, I really like the layout of everything. And then somebody pats me on the shoulder. And he goes, "Hey, are you having a good time?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I realize that that gentleman works there. And I think it's the guy, Steve. I don't know what he looks like, but he knows what I look like. And I go, "Are you Steve?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, we talked on the phone." I go, "Oh, it's great to meet you. Everything looks really good." And then Steve goes, he asked me, he goes, "Are you a fan of Chris Claremont?" I go, "Absolutely, I'm a fan of Chris Claremont. He's one of my idols. He's one of my idols, comic book idols." He goes, "Good, because I would like you to interview him / host his panel. Would you be okay doing that?" And I said, "Sure, why not? I'll do it." He goes, "Good. I also need someone to host the Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair panel as well. Could you do that one also? That's Jim Lee's right-hand man." I said, "Absolutely, I'll do it. That sounds fantastic." So I'm playing it cool, and Steve walks off, and as soon as he walks off, I break out into sweat. I'm sweating. Everything I knew about Chris Claremont leaves my brain. I'm like a bag of nerves. I don't know what's going on. I'm so excited. I get to actually host a panel with Chris Claremont and Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair, and I am just on cloud 9. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I've never done it before, but I'm confident I can do it. And about an hour later, Tom shows up. And Tom messages me. He's like, "I'm outside." So I go find Tom. And Tom's there, and I give him his pass. And Tom goes, "So what's going on? What's the plan?" I go, "I have a interview or whatnot with Chris Claremont at 4 o'clock. And Tom's like, "Are you serious?" And Tom gets all excited, and Tom's like, "Do you think there's any way I could get a chance to talk with Claremont?" I'm like, "Probably. Let's go find out." So I go, "Let's go find Steve, and we'll see what he says." Like I said, Steve is a showrunner. So I go find Steve, and I said, "Steve," I go, I'd like you to meet my friend Tom. He's from Comic Con 101. We kind of partner up on a lot of things together. Would it be all right if Tom joined me with the Chris Claremont panel?" And Steve was like, "Sure, that sounds great." So we are set. Tom and I are set. We are going to host the Chris Claremont panel, and we don't know what the hell to do. we are literally just like bugging out. We got a couple hours to figure out what we're going to say. We got a couple hours to figure out everything. We go and we find the conference room where it's being held. Literally, Tom, like I said, we forget everything. If someone were to ask me who Chris Claremont was at that time, I probably would have been like, "I don't know," because all the information we've ever had on him just left our minds because we were just flipping out. So we go and find the room, and we're trying to get some questions. Tom puts out some information. He calls John's Comments with Kids because he's a big Claremont fan. He calls some other people. He puts something on Instagram. Literally, I'm pretty sure Tom asked Google. I think he typed in interesting questions to ask Chris Claremont. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard him say that. I thought that was pretty funny. So anyway, we're sitting there. We find the room. We get everything set up and whatnot that we want to do. And we have some questions. We plan it out. I said, okay, Tom, this is what we're going to do. I go, I will do the intro. I'll introduce myself and you and then Claremont and get the ball rolling. And then I will we'll jump into the questions. About halfway through it, we will jump to the audience and have them do questions. And then when we're done, I'll close it out, and that will be the panel. Tom's like, great. He's excited for it. He's a bag of nerves. I mean, this guy, Tom's 100 miles an hour all the time. So you throw this on there, it was crazy. So we get some questions. Thank you, John, for helping us out on that. And thank you to everybody else. And then we also, like I said, we found the room. But I have to get ready for the Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair one, which is coming up first. It's literally the hour before that. Tom didn't volunteer to help me on that one, so that was okay. So Tom went, and he had to do some work, and he filmed some stuff at the con, and that's great. And I did some research on these two gentlemen and stuff, and I've known from what they do. Obviously, I'm not as familiar with them as Chris Claremont, but they worked with Jim Lee for many years on many different books. And so I looked up some information and had some notes. And this was going to be my very first panel I've ever done. And so I went and I introduced myself to Scott. I introduced myself to Alex and let them know I was hosting their panel. Very nice gentlemen. Waited for them. They showed up in the room. They sat down and everything, and there's a bunch of people waiting. And I jumped right into it. I say, hey, everybody, welcome to the Washington State Summer Con. I'd like to introduce the dynamic duo, Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair, and we are off and rolling. Questions, no problem. Got the audience going, no problem. People are laughing, having a good time. And I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I've never done it before. I was extremely nervous at first, but literally about a minute into it, I felt like this was home. And it hit me really emotionally. And I felt like this is something that I wish I was doing years ago because I really enjoyed it. And I'm very grateful, to say the least. Anyway, we get going. Audience participation was great. A lot of questions. They had some great answers, shared a lot of good information. And I watch a lot of these panels, and you don't get a lot of comic book questions. And obviously, I'm a comic book guy. So my questions were comic book questions, hey, you guys worked on Detective Comics 1000. There's a bunch of variants for that. Is there any competition between you and the other artists that do the covers for this? Do you guys have any type of rivalry? I like to know stuff like that. That's the type of questions I was asking. I asked them about the fact that DC is now switching to their books coming out once a month instead of every 2 weeks. I said, what are your thoughts of that? Do you like having the extra time to work on the book? And they were ecstatic that they are now going to once a month. They flat out said to me that they dread the 2-week thing for books because they're so much under pressure, because normally they're working on more than one book. They're working on multiple, and every 2 weeks, that's such a tight schedule. It's very hard for them. So they were very happy to hear that DC is now switching to a once a month for a majority of their titles. I might be wrong on a few, but I think that's the case. So I thought that was great. They liked questions like that because they weren't the normal questions that they probably would get, and they really enjoyed that type of thing. Anyway, as we're winding down the con, I see Tom come in because literally the Chris Claremont one is next. And Tom comes in, and his buddy Slav is there. He's the guy that helps out Tom, the little tall guy. And Tom's sitting in the back, and he takes a picture and he puts it on Instagram and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Tom like gives me a thumbs up and stuff, and it made me feel good, you know, because like I said, I've never done it before, but I'm not going to say no, and I'm not going to turn down the opportunity. Everything goes great. I close out that con. I talked to Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair afterwards. They really enjoyed their time. You can see this print right there, the Silver Surfer one. Scott Williams gave that to me as a gift. He said, thank you so much. He really appreciated me hosting their panel. That, I believe, is actually a cover for a Silver Surfer, a limited edition Silver Surfer, and he gave that to me, autographed, all that good stuff. And I just chatted with him a couple times. Very nice guy. And like I said, it went fantastic. So thank you, Scott, for that great piece of artwork. And they signed some books for me as well. They were very nice. Okay, so that's that one. So let's get to the Chris Claremont one. And here we go. So we're on the Chris Claremont. He's due up very soon. He's running late. Okay, he's running late. He's stuck at his booth. He's signing autographs. So I have Tom come up on stage, and me and Tom are setting up the chairs and getting the microphones all set up. And all of a sudden, all these people start coming in. You know, there's quite a bit bigger audience for Chris Claremont, let's be honest. And all these people are sitting there waiting for Chris Claremont to show up. Like I said, he's late. I look at Tom and I say, Tom, we got to do something. And so I get up and I grab the microphone and I go in the full Bueller mode. And I'm like, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to the Washington State Summer Con. I'm Bueller. And I just start rolling. Tom jumps up. He starts talking to the crowd. We're going back and forth with the crowd, asking questions. Just me and him. Claremont's not there. And we're getting them involved. They're all having a good time and stuff. And I look at Tom and I'm like, yeah, we can do this. This is not a problem. I was very excited. And so we got the crowd all ready to go. They're all excited to be there. And finally, Chris Claremont shows up. And he comes in. I haven't talked to Chris Claremont. He didn't know I was hosting this panel yet because I didn't have a chance to go talk to him because he was so busy and I was stuck with the other panel. So Chris Claremont comes in, sits down, kind of an intimidating guy. Let's be honest, X-Men. He worked on it for so long. He's an icon of the industry. I was I was nervous, but I felt good. And I just went into it. And I just got and said, I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Bueller, and this is my co-host, Comic Tom from Comic Tom 101. But you guys aren't here for us. You're here for the legendary Chris Claremont. And the crowd was cheering and all happy and stuff like, you know, and I knew right then that this was going to go great. So Tom and I started going back and forth, asking Chris questions and stuff. And I knew right away that Chris Claremont likes to talk. And we only had an hour and even less because he was about 15 minutes late and there was another panel at 5 o'clock. So all the questions that Tom had, he wasn't going to get to. And like the second question in, I kind of look at Tom and I'm like, you know, because Tom has his phone on his leg and with all the questions, and he realizes that he's not going to get to all those questions at all. So he kind of puts that back and we kind of just go with what we got going on. Anyway, we asked some really nice questions of Claremont. He's enjoying it. One of the things we asked him was about the Dark Phoenix movie that just came out. Obviously, there's been 2 movies now about the Dark Phoenix saga that Fox has done. We asked him if he liked one over the other or what he preferred. I will just say this, and I know you guys haven't seen the video. He is not pleased with the adaptations of the X-Men at all in the Hollywood movie field. Not one bit. He was not happy. And me and Tom were a little taken back by that. But literally, Chris Claremont goes into rewriting every single X-Men movie, and he tells us how he would do it. And I kid you not, if he was in charge of doing the X-Men movies, those things would be the #1 movies of all time because the scenarios that he told us in this panel were just fantastic. And he even told us how he would introduce them into the new MCU type thing. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And we are in cloud 9 because literally this is Chris Claremont's first panel since the premiere of Dark Phoenix that he went to and he saw and was part of that movie type thing. Not a happy guy about that stuff. He would have done it totally differently. And I told him that he needs to be the next director for the new X-Men movies whenever they decide to come to the MCU. And anyway, we keep going along. Like I said, Chris Claremont had many, many things to say. He is a writer, you know. They have plenty of stuff to say. We have some other questions that we get into, but Claremont was going to say whatever he wanted, and that he did. And trust me, when you guys see these videos, there's some moments that are, they're Batman damned moments. Let me just put it to you that way. If you're familiar with Batman Damned, there are moments in this conversation with Chris Claremont that rival the Batman Damned #1 book. I'll just put it to you like that. So it'll be a lot of fun when you guys see it. So anyway, we're there and we're doing the questions. I realized that we were running late because we started late, and then I tried to get the crowd involved and get some questions from the crowd. And then the handler, or the guy for the next panel that's coming up, he's in the side, he's telling me to wrap it up type thing. So I'm trying to wrap up the panel, and literally Chris Claremont is not letting me wrap it up. I'm like, well, this is our last question. He's like, why? Why not? Well, let's take more questions type thing. So he is not letting me wrap up the panel at all. He's like, I was late. We're staying late. I was like, that's fine. Whatever. I tried a couple of times to wrap it up, and it was literally not going to happen until he set down the microphone. And you can see the point where he does set down the microphone, and that's when I wrap it up. We ran like 10 or 15 minutes late, and the next panel had to get bumped because we ran so late. And the funny thing is, the next panel was the Clerks panel. It was all the actors from the Clerks movie, Jason Mewes, the comic book man, the other actors. We bumped them, and they had to go to another room and do the panel at some other room because we would not get off the stage. So it was awesome, to say the least. Chris Claremont had a great time. I myself had a great time. Tom had a great time. He was in cloud nine. You know, this is one of our, both his and mine, one of our idols that we look up to for all that he's done in the comic book business and all the years he spent writing the X-Men and bringing these characters to life. It's amazing. And I looked at Tom and I said, you know, Tom, we have done a lot of stuff together, like live streams, you know, you're there and I'm here type thing. I go, to think that the very first thing that we ever do together, and we are hosting a panel for Chris Claremont. And I said, that's not a bad first thing to do together one-on-one. So he felt the same way. Tom was excited. I was excited. And, you know, after it was all said and done, I had to walk out and go outside and just take a deep breath. And because I was a ball of nerves, I was a ball of emotion, and I couldn't, for the last couple hours, I couldn't stop thinking about it. But everything went great, and I can't say thank you enough to Washington State SummerCon for giving me the opportunity to be a host and to host people like Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair and Chris Claremont. You know, it's like a dream come true. And do it with my good friend Tom, even better. That's icing on the cake. And Tom and I played off each other very well. You guys have seen us do live shows together. We have a good time. That same good time that we have translated on live stage in front of a crowd of 100 and some odd people, and it was a lot of fun, to say the least. We are looking at doing more. I told Tom, I said, this is something I wouldn't mind doing. I think that you never know. I've told my kids this. You never know if you're good at something unless you try it. And a lot of people don't try things and they don't know if they're any good. I had a conversation one time with one of my relatives and stuff. I go, do you play golf? And they go, no, I'm not any good. I go, how do you know? Have you ever played? And they go, no, I've never played. I go, well, you might be good at it. Maybe you should give it a shot. And I kind of live by that rule. How do you know if you're any good at something unless you don't try? And so I wanted to try this. I wanted to give it a shot. And I gave it a shot, and I felt that I did a good job, and I felt as though I could only get better. And I'm very excited to get more opportunities down the line and to represent the comic book community and ask comic book questions at Comic Cons. That's something that a lot of them don't get. And I think that's pretty cool that we are able to do that. And I know that next year when the Washington State Summer Con rolls around, I know I will be a part of it again. And there is another con in my area, Rose City Comic Con. I'm going to try to be a part of that one as well. And me and Tom have talked about some other stuff. And it's very neat. I need to take another sip. I love sharing that story. There's more stuff to it. How are we doing? What's the time? Okay, we're doing good. Let me jump into the chat. I'm missing all the stuff in the chat because I'm just rolling. Hopefully you guys enjoy this story. I'm really happy to be able to share it with you guys. Brett Hess art, Bueller for president. Look at Brett Hess right there. Brett Hess art on my wall. One of my favorite artists right there. Brett Hess art. Go check him out on Instagram. Buy some art. Right up there next to Alex Sinclair and Scott Williams and Randy Emberlin, and then Brett Hess art. Very cool. Very happy to have it. Matthew Smith, how you doing? Can you talk about X-Men variants? We have recent X-Men #1s as example. There are, oh man, variants. I've talked a lot about variants, and that's, man, I have many videos about variants. So please do me a favor, go check those out. Because trust me, if I get going on variants, we're going to be here till tomorrow. And I want to stay focused on the Comic-Con aspect of it. But I will just say this. There was a ton of X-Men variants, and I'm expecting there to be a bunch more when they relaunch X-Men again here in July. It's going to be nuts. Let's see. Comic Collection Agency, that was an awesome story. Thank you so much. Comic Blaster 74, thank you. Let's see. Just the Rican in his comics, $2 super chat. He gets to go on the blue ball of goodness. I want to let everyone know that tomorrow I will be on Just the Rican and his comics channel. Please go check out his channel, subscribe. If you find stuff that you like, there'll be me. Sam will be on there, I believe. Also, Steve Whiting is going to try to make it, and I think some other people as well. I think that's at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow on Just the Rican and his comics, and we talk about comics, so what's better than that? I do want to say a few other things that was kind of cool. So one of the names I mentioned that was there, that was Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter was there at the Comic-Con. And if some of you guys have been watching me for a long time, one of my very first interviews I ever did, actually that was my first comic book creator interview I've ever done. I interviewed Jim Shooter at Cherry City Comic-Con last year, about a year and a half ago. And he was at this con. I was very excited to run into him again because I really enjoyed my time with Jim Shooter last year. And we talked for a few hours because the con we were at wasn't a very good one. And there was plenty of time to talk. He was a lot busier this time around. Well, like I said, this con was a lot busier. So anyway, I get to see Jim Shooter, and I said, Jim, I go, I just want to say thank you. I don't know if you remember me, but last year around this time, we sat down for an interview, and Jim goes, yeah, I remember. It was down in Salem. I remember that. I enjoyed that. I go, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I told Jim, I said, Jim, you know, my channel was fairly new at the time. I think I had maybe a couple hundred subscribers and stuff. And I said, that interview I did with you, a lot of people watched it. Almost a couple thousand people have watched that interview. It really helped kickstart my channel. It got me some attention. I'm really thankful for that. Thank you, sir. And Jim Shooter stopped me right there, and he goes, I want to tell you something. He goes, I watched those interviews you did with me, and I wanted you to know that I really enjoyed them, and I thought that you did a great job. And that meant so much to me because you never know. I mean, you never know if these gentlemen see the stuff that you do, or you talk about these books, and you don't know if these creators, you know, see this stuff. But for him to take the time and tell me that he actually watched them and he enjoyed them, that made me feel pretty good. And just the cap off the weekend type thing to hear him say that to me. And I had a book with me, and it was a book that he told me was his favorite book that he's ever worked on, and I brought it with me, and I asked him if he'd sign it for me and stuff. He said I'd be more than happy. He remembered us talking about it and stuff like that, and he signed it for me. Like I said, it was his favorite book he's ever done. And just awesome that he watched the videos. I mean, he actually quoted from the video, so I know he watched them. And, you know, he really thought they were done really good and stuff. And, you know, that's the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics at one time, and he's got his name on 20, 30,000 comics, and here he is watching the videos that we did together. So that's pretty cool, to say the least. So I got to talk with him. I got to talk with Randy Emberlin again. Like I said, he's a local guy. He lives very close. I've talked to him many times. I've talked to him about coming on the show. He said he would, and so down the line, hopefully I'll get him on here. Very busy guy. Another gentleman, Mike Henderson. He's also another local guy. He's working on Dead Man Logan. He's the artist. He said he would like to come on the show, so I should have him on down the line. He's still working on that series, and then he's going on vacation for a while. Then he's got some new projects coming up. So hopefully I'll get him on sooner than later. But all in all, my experience at this Comic-Con was the time of my life. And another thing I want to bring up is everyone there, and I don't know if anyone was watching that was there, and if you were there at this Comic-Con and you're watching right now, please let me know, and I'll be looking at the chat. But I am not kidding. There was 50 to 60 people came up to me. Hey, you're Bueller. You're Bueller. And I watch your show. I've watched your show and all this stuff. And, you know, for me to get that, this is Puyallup, Washington, small place. Everyone who I met and came up to me and took the time to say hello, thank you so much. I mean, it was such, everything was just like icing on the cake type thing. And just to meet everyone and to take the time to speak with them. And I'm always a little uncomfortable when people like say, hey, you're Bueller type thing. I never really know how to react. The first thing I say is like, oh, you must watch the show. And the guy goes, just so you know, my name is Travis type thing. And, oh, okay. Because that my real name is Travis, but obviously I go by Bueller. But it was very cool, and just to have all those people that I got to meet in person and talk with. And there was one time when there was like people around me. I was like, this is weird, because there was like multiple people that watched the show, and they kind of all came up at type thing. And I mean, I signed some autographs. That felt really weird. I took some selfies, and that was kind of cool and stuff like that. I'll tell you this. So this is kind of a funny story. So I told people before Tom got there, I go, oh, do you watch Comic Tom as well? Oh, yeah, I watch Tom as well. I'm like, okay, cool. He's coming. You can get a chance to say hello. So Tom shows up. And, you know, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", you know, 290 pounds or whatnot. Big guy, easy to spot in the crowd. Tom, not so much. Kind of a shorter guy, a little guy, you know. Definitely you can identify him when you see him. But when he's standing next to me, there's a big contrast there. So I'm sitting there, and me and him were standing right next to each other, and someone comes up to me, and they go, oh, you're Bueller, right? I go, yeah, I'm Bueller, and I start talking to them and stuff like that, and they go, oh, yeah. I go, I watch you, and I go, I watch Comic Tom as well. I love his channel. I go, oh, you mean this guy right here? Didn't even notice Tom standing right next to me. And that's really has to do with the simple fact that I'm a big guy, and I kind of, you know, I cast a pretty large shadow over anyone who's next to me type thing. But I thought that was funny. I got a big kick out of it type thing. Because literally Tom's standing right next to me, and they don't even notice it because I'm such a big dude. But I thought that was cool. Me and Tom had a laugh about that one. Okay, let's see here. I got some other things on the list. I'm trying to think of some stuff I'm missing out on. I think I'm covering every basis. And anyone has any questions, please let me know in the chat. Jason, how you doing? Everyone in here, we got like 81 people watching. I wanted to share the story with you guys. So unfortunately, I haven't really gotten to the chat too much. TMZ is in the chat. Be careful. Okay, I will. TMZ. Soon you're going to be the one being interviewed. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know what I would say, but you know what? It's kind of cool. You know, I am extremely grateful, and you know, I really am. I can't. It's kind of hard to tell people, you know, 'cause I don't want to come off as being like a smart ass or something like that, but and maybe that's not even the right word, but I'm humbled by all this stuff, and I don't really know how to express it, because I would have never thought that I would be doing panels for Chris Claremont, or interviewing, you know, Donnie Cates, or, you know, sending out Bueller boxes, or having thousands of people watch my videos. I never thought that that would happen in a million years. But there's a lot of luck involved, and I just, you know, thank you. I don't know what else to say. You know, it's pretty cool. I appreciate everyone who's taken the time. That motivates me to do this type of stuff. I am more confident in myself now than I've probably ever been because of you guys. Because I look at it and I say, you know what? If these people believe in me, and if they take the time to watch my show and they enjoy it, I owe it to them to do the best that I can do. And that's what motivates me all the time. And that's why when things like this come up and they ask me if I want to do something, I'm going to say yes. And I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go for it. Whether I sink or swim, I'm going to give it a shot. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. So far, it's going pretty good. So anyway, like I said, thank you so much to everybody that I got the opportunity to meet at the Washington State SummerCon. Thank you to Steve and Washington State SummerCon for having me and giving me the opportunity to come there and be involved. I look forward to more time with them. Do me a favor, go check out their website, Washington State SummerCon. I just received an email saying that they're already planning next year's Comic-Con. And you know what? If you want to come to Washington State SummerCon next year, and if you need a place to stay, my door's open. What the hell? We'll have a party. So that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to switch gears and get to some other things here really quick that I want to cover. I already mentioned Just Arican and his comics on his channel tomorrow. I also want to mention the new Comic Karma channel, Comic Karma 101, that Tom has and stuff, and we kind of launched it a couple weeks ago. It's a great channel that he's doing. I'll be on there from time to time, and it's all about Comic Karma and showing the books that people send our way and stuff like that. So please check that out. If you haven't checked it out already, it's called Comic Karma 101. And don't forget to watch Tom's top 10 list later tonight. I'm sure it's coming out. I don't know when. I haven't talked to him today. I know that Tom's going on a break here for the next few days. And there you go. This other thing, this is an unfortunate thing I have to talk about, but I have to talk about this because it has come up. And Flaming Sheila, what's going on? There are, and I said this on my Instagram, but there are fake Bueller boxes on eBay. And there's not one, there's multiple fake Bueller boxes on eBay right now. If you are looking to buy a Bueller box, I have decided to always have at least a couple on eBay as like a placeholder. So that way, if somebody is searching for a Bueller box, they don't accidentally click and buy one of the fake ones. So I will do my best to at least leave 2 or 3 available all the time. If they are sold, I'll try to put a couple more up there, like a relisting really quick. That way there is a placeholder. But there is fake Bueller boxes. There's like 5 or 6 of them out there. Do me a favor, if you're looking to buy one, make sure it's under my profile name. It's easy. It's Bueller's Bargains is the profile name. It has a long track record of selling Bueller boxes. It's got like a top rater selling. These other fake ones don't have any track record at all. They don't have anything else sold. It's really easy to spot. So do me a favor, if you're looking for a Bueller box, like I said, I will always keep a couple on there. And then when I have my big batches available, like during the weekends, I don't have any this weekend. I'm taking a break because I'm going to film some videos this weekend that people have been asking for, like just the keys videos. I'm going to be doing 2 of those this weekend and putting them out next week. So there you go. I don't know if the gentleman that keeps asking me is in here, but there you go. But next weekend, I will have a bunch of Bueller boxes available for everybody. And like I said, I will always keep a couple on there as placeholders. They're still good. You can still buy them, but they probably won't ship until a few days later because I normally don't ship until Monday morning or maybe Friday morning, depending on when I get it. So there you go. So I wanted to let everyone know, be aware there is fake Bueller boxes. I know of a couple people who accidentally purchased them. They were able to get their money back, which is great, but I don't want someone to get ripped off. And I will just say this, I don't know if these are legit. I don't know if they are actually sending out books in these boxes. I'm assuming that they are not, and it's just a scam and using my name. But it could be, maybe they are sending out some boxes and just using my name, and there's some good stuff. I wouldn't take the risk to do it, but I want to put it out there, and I think it's important that I let people know about it. That way they don't make the mistake and get ripped off, because I would feel bad. We have a super chat from my buddy Al, Red Sox fan. Thank you for the likes, Bueller bunch backers. You are awesome. Thank you, Al. Al's a good guy. I just talked with Al. He was on his channel the other night, and I wanted him to watch tonight because I know he watched the one where I did the review of the Wizard World Con, and he kind of noticed I was pissed off and stuff. So this is a total 180 of that one. So I'm glad he was able to watch this one and get my response about this Comic-Con. And full disclosure, I'm probably a little jaded because of the things I got to do. But I think that I'm able to make a honest review about this Comic-Con and take that stuff out. And just by me reading you guys the list of creators that were there and the celebrities and the fact that there was tons of comics and good deals and everything you can want. It's everything I want a Comic-Con to be. They had all those boxes checked off, and I really enjoyed it. And it was affordable. Like, it was only like $30 to get in, I believe. I might be wrong, but I know like the Wizard World one was like $50 for a day pass. I think this one was only like $30. So, quite a big savings. I think that's it. The fake Bueller boxes, yep, we got it. Thank you, everyone I met. Anything else? Does anybody want to talk about something else? I haven't done a live stream in a couple of weeks. I'm only doing live streams every other week now, every other Friday. I like doing them every other Friday because it gives me some time to make some other videos and post those on Friday that I really enjoy. So I will have another live stream in 2 weeks. And I don't know what it's going to be about, but it should be a good one. When is Bueller showing up? Bear Island Comics. The hat guy. Yeah. Now look, somebody said something about the hat. There you go. You guys, I need to hear from the chat. We got 75 people watching. What do you guys think? With the hat, as you normally see, with the hat, or are you guys okay with me without the hat? Lighting has a lot to do with this. I will just say this right off the bat. But what do you guys think? Hat or no hat? You tell me. Let's see. Hey, Bueller, where do babies come from? I don't know. They're not my babies. Jason Bonanza, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. What else we got here? So, hat. People say hat is classic Bueller. People like the hat. No hat. No hat. Hat. Oh, man, this is like a 50-50 thing. Yeah, oh, man, that's funny. Well, you guys can tell, obviously, 99.9% of my videos I'm wearing a hat, and but this one I didn't wear the hat. So what the hell? We're having fun tonight. No hat. House till the end says no hat. Depends on the clothes. Fishing freaks. Okay, at least I'm wearing clothes. Let's see, you guys. I dressed up for you guys tonight. Tie. It doesn't match my shirt or nothing like that, but that's okay. And obviously the vest. The vest is a must, and all that good stuff. It's funny walking around the con, and because I'm at the con and I'm walking around and I got this vest and I got all these names on the back of my vest, and people were kind of like looking at why is there a bunch of names on the back of that vest? So I get a big kick out of that. So that's fun. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, this is kind of cool. This is part of the story. So Saturday, after the con was over, I didn't have a place to stay. And I'm about 2.5 to 3 hours away from my house. So I literally drove up about 10 miles to a rest stop, and I stayed the night in my van at a rest stop by the airport. And that was interesting to say the least. But I slept out there. I tried to clean myself up a little bit and stuff. I was still pretty wired. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep because my brain was going 100 miles an hour. And I just slept there in my van until the next morning. And then I woke up, bright and early because I didn't get very good sleep. And I went I drove back down to the con. I stopped at a gas station and stuff, or a truck stop, cleaned myself up, and tried to look decent. And I headed right back to it and started filming more footage and stuff like that. And enjoying the con on Sunday. And I'm forgetting some stuff. I knew I would forget. I wrote some stuff down. This is kind of cool. So one of the gentlemen that were there was Jim Lee. Everyone knows who Jim Lee is. Artist, all that good stuff. I mean, he's a household name. If you're a comic book fan, you know who Jim Lee is. I was this close to hosting the panel for Jim Lee. And I would have been hosting the panel for him, but he apparently brought someone with him to host his panel. But Steve, he said he would have loved to have me host the panel. Unfortunately, there was someone else already for it. But I was this close to hosting the panel for Jim Lee. And man, that would have been awesome. Maybe next time, right? So there you go. I want to let you guys know that Tom and I shot a bunch of the footage for the Chris Claremont interview, or the panel. Tom is working on the footage. We're trying to make some chunks so it's not just like this long 1 hour thing. We're kind of going to break it down into the different questions, because they're very interesting questions, and we think that it's worth its own like little segment. So Tom's going to be putting those out next week. Obviously, the one about Dark Phoenix, the one about a certain comic book, and then eventually, after we release the segments, and they'll probably be on his channel and my channel as well. And then we'll release the whole thing. If someone wants to sit down and watch the whole 1 hour thing, they can. But we'll release the little segments, and we're going to do some other footage on it and some other coverage on it as well. So it should be a lot of fun. Let's see, what else? I think that's it. I think so. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been just about an hour, just about what I'd like to go to. I want to thank everyone so far. I think we still have over 70 people watching tonight. You guys are great. Thank you so much for making for making my life what it is today, because everyone here has had a huge part in that, and I can't say thank you enough. Buy Bueller boxes from you direct. Eventually, I want to set up a website and do that. I don't know how, just quite frankly. I want to have both the options, because here's the thing. One time I wanted to get away from eBay and just do my own thing and have my own site. And so I'm going to do that eventually. But then I realized if I do that, I run into the problem that even though I leave eBay, these other guys that are doing scams, they stay there. And there's no presence set on eBay to represent the actual Bueller box. So because of that, if I do tend to go through like a website, my own website, then I'm still going to do eBay as well, because I don't want these guys to be scamming people. So I got to cover both bases, and I'm okay with that. But for right now, it's just eBay. Eventually, I will have a website set up, and you can order them from there. And who knows? I had a small run of T-shirts. I only sold like 5 shirts. So if anyone's interested in a T-shirt, I don't have any. I gave the rest away. But eventually, I might have some more Comics with Bueller shirts. And if you're interested in them, just let me know, and I'll see what happens. I don't know. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much, Sam, for being my moderator. I saw Jeffrey in here as well. Another awesome guy. John's Comments with Kids, another one of my moderators. He was in here. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. Be good to one another. And you know what? Just have a good time, man, because I know I'm having a good time. And I want to say thank you so much to everybody. And I will see you very soon. All right, guys, take care of yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do. I will see you next time.